How's it going, ParaTruthers? Welcome to another episode of ParaTruth Reborn. We are live on 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and United Public Radio Network. My name is Justin. Have you ever felt the air change, heavy, charged, as if something unseen is pressing close? What does the veil thinning mean in paranormal and spiritual communities? It is a metaphor for the belief that the barrier between the physical world and the spiritual realm is becoming permeable. This makes it easier for spirits, ancestors, and other unseen energies to cross over or communicate with the living. And today I am talking to JJRose777 about the veil thinning, why that's happening, and what that means, and how to protect yourself as a sensitive because of this happening. JJ, welcome back to ParaTruth Reborn.
Thank you. Hi.
How's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Doing this live is a little bit of a different monster altogether, but we love doing it just because we get a little more interaction than we do on the pre-record. So tell everybody, just, we've had you on, but tell everybody just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I am a metaphysical teacher, spiritual mentor, light worker, all elemental, solitary, eclectic, white witch. That's a mouthful. Ordained non-denominational minister, psychic lead for paranormal investigation. I have all the clairs, and then I specialize in energy and entity clearing and removal, and trying to get people to understand how to do all this stuff themselves. Big focus on spiritual hygiene.
Which I've been super thankful for. You have no idea how hard it is to try and learn this yourself, and having a mentor as well as your Discord chat is a huge thing for me. So thank you for always being there for me to chat with when I need it.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Now, we've heard this term, the veil thinning, over multiple years now, and it feels like we are getting closer and closer. So what's causing the veil to thin, or is it just breaking down over time?
So it is cyclical. And usually every year, twice a year, it comes down, then it builds back up. And normally it's around Halloween and then also May Day. So the 1st of May. So twice a year. And there's cultures all over the globe going way back to ancient times who have all had different festivals that celebrate this. They just call them different things. Different religions got in there. But right now we're kind of in an unprecedented time, because in 2023, the veil never came back after Halloween. End of 2022 into 2023 is when I noticed that's kind of weird. It's not building back up. And now we're in a time where it's pretty much gone. And when I say pretty much, I mean there are scraps left. Emphasis on the sh.
No, I mean, I've noticed this. I'm not as open as I could be just because I haven't worked on it as much as I should. But what does that mean for the normal person that isn't necessarily a sensitive psychic, whatever you identify as?
Well, get ready, because you're going to be. So that's pretty much where we're at with it. So basically what it means, for the layman, in essence, the veil, when it's thick, it puts a bigger barrier between us, the physical, tangible world, and the other dimensions, other beings that don't exactly exist exactly on our dimension. I mean, they pop in and out. And so when you're in a time like right now, there's a ton of peep throughs. And I've done multiple videos about this, about the merge, convergence, and shift, and what exactly that means. So if anyone's interested, feel free. I did my first PowerPoint, very proud of it, if I might say so myself. Because normally my content is just listen only. So the reason why I've been hounding on this in particular is because of the fact that if you don't understand anything paranormal or spiritual, get ready, because it's about to make itself understood, whether you want to or not. And it's just a matter of the time. This has been talked about in ancient cultures. Again, it's cyclical, all over the world, going back to ancient cultures, even current cultures. They don't quite understand it in the same terms as the ancients did, obviously, because they were coming out of one of these. But basically, this is the time in which, quote unquote, the gods will walk with people. And this is because you have higher and lower dimensional beings popping into our dimension, and there's less friction for them to come in and out. So I've had a huge uptick of people who are like, hey, having a spiritual awakening out of absolutely nowhere, like I'm ready to go. And what's also interesting is, you know, doing this as long as I have, my whole life, in this body anyway, I've been noticing that the spiritual awakenings are taking a lot less time than they used to. Like, they're a very streamlined and quick process. And I'm talking about people who were like atheists, total skeptics, non-believers. And, you know, now they're talking about woo-woo stuff, quote unquote woo-woo, as if they've always known it. It's like it just got downloaded and they get it.
Okay.
And, you know, we have a lovely chat going right now on the side. So if you're on YouTube and you're reading that, that's super fun. I very much appreciate everyone who showed up tonight. But one of the questions is that why the Mandela effects are so strong? And yes, it is a wee bit. The Mandela effects are like a triplicate answer, but the short answer is yes, because there is a convergence of different timelines that is happening. And as a result, what ends up going on is basically we have just, oh, look, I took over the show. I've done it again, guys. So in essence, what happens is these different timelines are merging and converging. And when that happens, it feels like there's these Mandela effects. I just had a couple the other day. Chucky Danger, who's in the chat, and I were discussing, I had put on a song. I know the song by heart. And I put it on, and there's a whole different ending. The beginning of the song was the same-ish, like to the point that I thought, oh, did I get a different version? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking it up and I'm going, no, this is like my ancient MP3 player, right? Like the unhackable one that I'm downloading forever ago. And the ending is now different. And I'm like, well, no one can hack this device because it's old. And also, like, who's going to hack a device to change one song for me? Seriously, I'm not that special. And it's not Bluetooth or anything. Like, it doesn't even connect to the internet. And he was saying that he had noticed a couple different songs that were doing the same thing. And it's very, very interesting because I think within the past year, I decided to rewatch the show Fringe. The chat is popping off about it right now, so I'm gonna bring it up. Yeah. And I remember,
just for the record, I loved Fringe too. It was like towards the last season that I kind of lost interest because it was kind of getting a little too much.
It was, because at the time no one was talking about that, and so at the time it was like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
In rewatching it though, holy moly. I mean, talk about light years before its time with the stuff it was talking about. Yeah, and that was just talking about two different timelines, two different worlds, right? Who exist kind of on the periphery of each other. We're talking about multiple. We're talking about, one where you made a right on back in 84 instead of a left, and your whole life went a slightly different direction. Not completely different, but just slight enough.
Well, that's weird. I was 3.
Okay. All right. Really noted. Kind of don't know what to say here, buddy.
But I get what you're saying. And a lot of people say this, that, it doesn't matter what decision you've made. If there was another decision to be made, at that moment, a timeline shift happened where you chose the one and your other version chose the other.
And then they just split.
Yep. But here's the thing, though, too. I've heard so many different things about that. Like, some people say it's just major life changes. Other people say it's every choice that we make. What are your thoughts on that?
In what regard?
Like for the timeline shifts or splits. Sorry.
I need you to repeat it one more time. I'm not getting it. I'm sorry.
Oh, like I've heard people say that, every choice we make, there's a timeline split. But I've heard other people say, no, that's not true, because otherwise we'd have billions of timeline splits. So is it like just major life changes, or is it every single choice that you made?
No, it comes down to major crossroads that are going to end up causing like a whole different outcome.
Okay.
So, and that also is for the collective. So I don't want, again, you got to be really finicky with how you explain this stuff, because if you say, oh, just you, then everyone thinks the world revolves around them and they've got 10 billion different timelines because one day they wear a red shirt versus a blue shirt. And it's not how it works. It's for the collective. So let's say you were going to be driving to a place that a big incident was going to happen, right? And instead of you being there, which is your intended destination, you decided to go get Starbucks, or you suddenly had to go to the bathroom and went off the side of the road, right? And so you weren't there. Now, does that incident still happen? There's one timeline where it does, and there's another timeline maybe where it doesn't, because you and multiple other people weren't there, and therefore it didn't have the large enough audience or intention for whatever it was to happen, and so therefore it doesn't happen.
Okay. Makes sense. And that's why I wanted to clarify, is because there are those people that believe that it's minuscule happenings that have like this weird timeline split where, and again, like you're saying, people believe, oh, it's me. And it's like, yeah, yes, but no. So
right. And that's where the understanding of how we fit into the collective is so important. After 9/11, there were tons of stories of people even that I encountered that were saying, I was supposed to be there, but that morning I decided I'm okay being late. I'm going to go grab donuts for everyone. There was one person, their car wouldn't start. Another person, they missed the train because their alarm didn't go off. So there's another timeline where all those things didn't happen, right, in that order, and they were there and they passed. And then all of a sudden, so for them, they're in a timeline where they pass away, and then all of a sudden to them, it's like a blip, and then they wake up as if that never happened. But then there's a part of them that always feels like, I died. And I've known multiple people who have had this, where they're like, I didn't make it through whatever incident happened. So it's a tricky thing, and then there's all the little stuff of like, no, I clearly remember this song went like this, or I remember in this movie he said this.
Right.
And there are other aspects to that. I do believe there's been a little, whether it's corporate or government or, somebody with a lot of money and strings to pull for whatever ish and giggles they want to, who started pulling some strings just to see, can we mess with the collective psyche? Because there's clear things like, the cornucopia on the Hanes shirt. I grew up with that. My dad only wore those shirts. And I still have them with clearly the cornucopia. So you're going to tell me that slipped through the timeline convergence?
Right. Like, well, same thing with Berenstain versus Berenstein. I remember Berenstein, and now it's everybody's saying it's Berenstain. So that in
I
itself,
remember Stein as well. And I remember being very excited because I knew someone who had a last name close to that. And I was like, hey, look, your family's in the book. So and see, I think that's the difference. And overall, if I can get through anything tonight to anyone listening on all the different modalities that people listen to you, please pay attention a little bit more to your life. It is probably the largest thing someone like me has to contend with when I'm working with people. Oh, well, I think something happened, but I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. Okay. So you want these spiritual things to happen. You want to work with your spirit team, or you're asking the universe for guidance, and then you're walking around with a blindfold on through half your life. Like, that doesn't really help.
Right.
So if you pay attention, you will start noticing something's off. I had one morning, and luckily I have a best friend and we talk every single day, and we lived in different places, but both of us were avid walkers. So we walk every day. And I go for a walk that day, and everything feels just slightly weird. And a couple houses that I walk by every day, I know them very well, were just different. And I mean, listen, I understand people do construction, but like, you don't move where the door is. You don't move the driveway. You don't paint a house overnight. And then, so I ask her, hey, is it just me? Like, did I hit my head or something? And she's like, no, I'm having the same thing. Like, literally, I'm looking at this house and I'm going, why is the driveway on the wrong side?
I've had that happen over the past couple of years, and I'll text Erik, or I'll talk to my wife and say, something's different, something's off. I can never really pinpoint what it is. I'm always trying to look and see what's going on. And it's been since around that time that you're saying 2022, 2023, a little bit after the pandemic hit. And I can never narrow it down as to what's changed or what's different.
And that's where paying attention will help. Some of these things were happening prior to the pandemic. I was already seeing the timelines merging. I was already seeing the convergence of the different dimensions, because things were coming through that normally don't, or that normally would have to communicate this really weird way because they weren't able to make direct contact. And now they're just talking, or they're just showing up. I mean, I've had people who have never had anything happen to them their entire life, any paranormal, spiritual experience, whatever you want to call it. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I had a shadow man walk across the room last night. Like, it's nothing. I'm like, well, first of all, that's great. You weren't scared, because I don't want anyone scared. But also the just absolute breeziness of the interaction. And that's because on some level, we intrinsically feel that shift is happening. And so we're understanding, okay, yeah, I'm sensing these other dimensions, these other things coming through. They're sensing me. So it's not a big of a shock when they make contact.
My biggest problem, and I'm sure you probably went through this at one point, maybe you don't go through it anymore, is questioning if what I'm getting is a message over my ego or my subconscious or imagination answering myself as I'm thinking or trying to read something.
questioning is a good thing because it keeps you a little bit grounded, right? Because some of these things can really take the reins and run, especially if they're just excited to talk to you as you are to them. Especially like with the numbers, I've seen some people be like, hey, I feel like I'm spinning out. I'm seeing, this configuration of numbers everywhere. I'm like, okay, just calm down, go look at a whole string of, do something completely different, change it up. For me, I had done it has to hit 3 times for me to really pay attention to it. I also have a lot more happening on a regular basis than the average person, so I had to put some guardrails up. I have since canceled that 3-time thing and just said, hey, if it's big and I'm not able to explain it, then we're going to go with it. And we're going to try to put the pieces together. When technology spazzes out, okay, sometimes it's the internet went down, right? Like we've been having a lot of that lately. Sometimes it's a glitch. Sometimes you just got to unplug it and plug it back in. That's my go-to line. Have you unplugged your life and plugged it back in?
The most simple IT thing that they tell you first and foremost. So yeah.
Have you checked to make sure all your cables are plugged in properly?
Right.
So kind of do that like with your life, right? And if it's technology based, we all know there are hackers, there are people who like to mess around and do weird stuff. And also some of these solar flares and power surges have been causing mayhem. Now, when I'm by myself,
you cause it to electronics when you're scatterbrained or upset.
That can also happen if you're ungrounded. So being grounded is very important. Go put your hand in some dirt.
That's good.
Yeah. Or and the other thing is electrolytes, just making sure that you're properly hydrated. I probably sound like a broken record. Some people in the chat are probably all rolling their eyes right now at me because I feel like I'm really hard on the electrolytes, but solar flares affect our physical bodies the same way that they do the magnetosphere and the planet, because we all are electrical beings. Therefore, if you don't have proper hydration, you're going to be depleted. That can cause tummy aches, headaches, all sorts of dizziness and weirdness. So don't add to your body's stress with stupid stuff like not drinking water or electrolytes and keeping hydrated when you could be doing yourself a solid and take care of the physical stuff. And that way you can rule that out. Hey, I know I'm not tired because I'm sleeping adequately, or I know I'm not hungry because I'm eating every couple hours. And I'm not great at that one. I fully admit I have a timer for that and I ignore it half the time. But I'm trying to do juices now, like in between, right? So at least I can keep my blood sugar level. And celery juice is something new that I'm doing. Do I love it? Absolutely not. It's awful, but it's very healthy and it has a lot of natural salts and electrolytes in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, what's some of the misconceptions that people have about the thinning of the veil that you've noticed or have had to correct?
I haven't had to correct too much. I think if anything, more people are kind of waking up to the veil and realizing, oh, this has been talked about in, the Torah and the Christian Bible and in other ancient religions as well. And everyone called it something different, but they're all talking about the same thing. But then it's kind of like with the UFOs, right? You have the faction of UFO believers who are like, no, these are physical, tangible devices that we should be able to pick up and pick apart. Then you have the other people who are like, no, these are interdimensional craft that don't even make sense to our physics because they're not flesh and blood paper, metal objects. And then you have everyone in between and everyone's kind of fighting. So the same thing with the veil is one people are going to call it the firmament. Other people are going to call it the sky is falling. Some people are going to call it, the veil or the spiritual veil in between worlds. It's all the same thing. It's just everyone needs to get on the same page about, is it a physical, tangible thing? Or is it the spiritual thing? Or is it kind of a blend of both? because we're a blend of both.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I've already said this to a lot of people and even on this show that I feel no religion has the explanation 100% right about what things are, what's going on, what happens when we die. So I'm glad you explained that, because it's one of those things that irritates me a little bit when people get on their soapboxes about it, and it's like, okay, yes, I get where you're coming from. However, there's more to it than that.
There definitely is. And the other thing is, a lot of language has been lost.
Yeah.
Right. What was written 2, 3, 5,000 years ago, and all the translations, which were different people and their lenses of the world at the time, translating it into different languages. And then you have different meanings because language is constantly evolving. So if you're thinking it that way, what was originally written is not the same as what a lot of people are being told on Sunday when they go to church, if they're even talking about that at all. Most churches don't.
Right.
So it really comes down to, you have to, and I'm not a big lover of this phrase, but you do need to do your own research, aka study. I'll say do your own studies, not research, because I hear that a lot. That kind of annoys me, because I feel it's a cop-out. I've done a lot of this. I've talked about it, multiple times, but I definitely think it's really, really swell for people to do it themselves, for the mere fact of, especially if you're coming from a deeply religious background, you're not going to listen to someone like me and say, like, yeah, I'm just going to take her word for it. If you're like deeply immersed in religion still, you're going to need to kind of like unfurl a little bit and see it for yourself, and maybe talk to people of your religion who have done the higher studies. And this is why I try to keep my circle as vast as I do, and have people that are very religious that I can talk to. I have friends all over the spectrum of different religions that we can talk about the old text, different languages. I know a ton of languages, and we have this internet thing now that, you can put in ancient Sumerian and ancient Aramaic, and it will tell you. I mean, the Lord's Prayer alone, if you look at it in the original, I think it's Sanskrit form, maybe Aramaic, it is so different than the thing that is recited currently. What we recite today is so dumbed down and watered down to the point it's almost non-recognizable to what the original intention was. So something as simple as that, that's a real simple one that any of you can go look that up for yourself. It is so incredibly beautiful and deep. So when we say the Lord's Prayer, which most people can recite that from memory, the original is, I don't even know how to compare it. It's like reading the novel versus seeing the trailer for the movie.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're going with there, because I mean, yeah, I get that. Back then, it was probably way more poetic than it is today.
But even deeper than the poetic part, because you got to remember, it still has to be translated directly into English, right? It's the depth of the words, and what was meant to be conveyed was so much deeper than the words that are said today. And the last time I went to church, everyone starts doing the call and response and saying the Lord's Prayer, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, what are they like? They're missing lines. What are you talking about? And I'm going from the one I was taught as a kid, and I'm like, how is it that they cut more? Like, yeah. So little things like that I feel are really, really important. That overall, just that little snippet alone is going to help people understand what I'm talking about when it comes to how things have been so dumbed down and become so rudimentary that the real purpose and the real depth and meaning doesn't show anymore the way that it used to.
Okay. Now, something I wanted to ask you, because I've had this happen to me, and I've had people tell me that, yeah, you this happened because of this. So I don't remember if I had told you this or not, but I think it was a little over a year ago. I was sleeping, and I felt like there was somebody in the room with me and my wife, and I woke up and I'm looking around. And so I didn't notice anything. I didn't feel that, anything was trying to get me, quote unquote, or anything like that. So I went back to sleep. I woke up and I had a mark in between my thumb, one on each side of the webbing of my thumb. And I had people tell me, well, yeah, you were marked. That means that when the shift happens, you're going to actually be one of the people that is able to communicate with these beings before everybody else. Is that something you've heard before?
Never.
The veil.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, and people have said, they say people are calling them aliens, and they're not aliens. There's something different or not what we think of as aliens.
I mean, alien in the aspect of they're not human.
Not of this world or this reality, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Well, I think it's more, and again, this comes down to people understanding dimensions in science. And let's face it, most people don't. We coexist with so much more than anyone realizes. And that's even myself, where, I do know a lot more maybe than the average person. If we currently understood how much we share space with just right now, I have a feeling our egos would calm down.
I would hope, at least. But in
One can hope.
the human brain, however, gets in the way and makes, especially when it comes to science and scientists, not that some don't believe the stuff that we talk about, but the majority are like, well, we can't prove it, so it doesn't exist.
But they have proven it, and that's really,
I mean, they have, but the mainstream scientists are like, no, those guys are quacks. That's quasi science. That's completely different.
And that, okay, I'm breathing. That's the nicest thing I could say, is that's what really frosts my ovaries is when I hear that.
No,
because for the mere fact of our government alone in the United States has spent over $1 trillion on researching psychic, spiritual, other dimensions. Then we have things like CERN that are, finding the God particle. Look that one up if you want a fun, midnight read that'll keep you awake for 2 days. And all of these other things. We have places like SRI. We have places even that are private companies that have worked as government contractors. They're just unfortunately under NDAs. You had NASA a couple years ago get together all the heads of all the different religions. And then all of a sudden, all the different religions started like talking and singing a little bit of a different tune, which was interesting. So we have all of these different things in play. And so many people know more than what is being stated. We have people with doctorates up the wazoo who have come out and said like 60% of what's currently in all of the training to become a doctor, all of the schooling, all the education to become a doctor needs to be thrown out and rewritten. Because they know that it's all been amended. They know more now, and yet they just haven't updated the education, or it's not profitable to go with that. It's easier to keep everyone dumbed down looking for the next iPhone release. You know, you get an extra pixel on a camera. Woohoo!
I would go with that.
I'm trying to temper myself, sir. I'm doing such a good job right now.
That's why we don't have a cure for cancer right now, because it's more profitable to keep people sick.
Well, and they have had multiple cures for cancer. It just depends on which one.
Right.
You know, and then we have administration changes, and then they come in, they take away the funding from everyone that was actually getting somewhere. And then they come in and they say absolutely ridiculous stuff. And then you're wondering, why would they say that, especially about that one particular product? And then always read the ticker tape on the news. What they say on the news, don't listen to that so much. Read the ticker tape. Because when that whole thing happened, you know, as most of us were left gobsmacked, like, I'm sorry, they said what? 3 days later, 3 to 5 days later, it was announced, because, you know, the stock took a huge hit. The whole company's net worth did after that was released. And all of a sudden it comes out, oh yeah, this other company came in and bought that company for pennies on the dollar. So when you hear something that's so outlandish and ridiculous, always give yourself a week or two and follow it. And I guarantee you there's someone behind that claim or whatever that's there to make money. How do you make money off of spirits and the paranormal and other dimensional beings living with us? Most people's heads would just melt if they truly understand what was happening. So you're not making money off that, right? Instead, you have to push this narrative of, oh, they're all demons, or it's aliens from beyond and we're being invaded and attacked. So let's make money off the war machine, or let's get people back into church and give the churches your money. It's always money. That's why the truth isn't coming out.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox.
Well, to transition back into what we have been talking about. So with the veil coming down, normal people are going to be more like people like us, where they're going to be seeing, hearing these beings that, now with that happening right now, we'll say everybody, not necessarily just people who are psychic, sensitive, medium, whatever label you put on yourself. You already mentioned one thing to protect yourself, or a couple things: grounding and drinking a lot of water, keeping your electrolytes up. What are some other things people can use, tools that will help protect them?
Plate of salt under your bed where your head lies. If you have a lot of GI issues or back issues, especially with pain or just discomfort, I would say put another plate where your hips lie. That will actually help energetically as you sleep. The salt goes in and it helps transmute the negative energy so that you can actually replenish while you sleep, instead of just having all that energy stuck. Whether it's your religious text or, you know, a beautiful picture of something that makes you feel very warm, loved, connected with source, spirit, God, universe, divine, whatever word you want to call it, have something like that out or something like that open, especially if it's like a religious book or a text that you have. You could just have that open within the house. Airing your house out, getting fresh air and sunshine into your home is extremely important. And I do understand, I live in a place without weather. I understand a lot of you have to deal with, 8 feet of snow a month. Guys, I don't really know how it works, but It sounds terrible. So I understand that's probably not something you can do on a daily basis. Just, open the doors and the windows. But even if it's you open the door and you say, hey, any energy that's stagnant or needs to leave, let it go. You can open it for 30 seconds. Give it a door. You can even tell it to go up the chimney with the fire as you're burning a fire, if they have fireplaces anymore, in order to just let that go. There are things like saging, but again, please do not sage your home unless you have a window or a door open. Please. Lots of windows and doors open are preferred. If you can only do one, that's fine. But just don't go whipping things up into a frenzy and then having them very upset while you do.
I had heard you say that on another show, and that had been the first time I had ever heard that before. I've had people tell me, flush the ashes down the toilet so the energy goes out that way. But nobody's ever said open a window or a door as you're trying to clear.
Okay. They should. I wish they would have. I'm very sad that is not made it out. I will make reels about that. How about I just cover social media with a little PSA? I just figured everyone knew. And a lot of this too, you have to understand, like, I grew up like this. I come from a family of all this. Most of the stuff was just, this is what people did. So when you live in that world where this is just what everyone does, I just figured everyone knew this. So things like that help me understand what isn't in the general collective. So if there is anything on this that you guys have never heard before, please let me know so that I can do my little bit in the world to try and get the word out.
Now, obviously salt is crystals. Are there certain crystals that people should be using during this time of transition?
Crystals really are a personal thing. Not everyone is drawn to them, and they also don't work with our bodies the same way that they used to. A lot of us have a genetic memory of working with crystals, and so that's why, we glom onto them. Also, shiny objects. Who doesn't love that? So for me, I own a lot of them, but I'm going to be honest, I don't work with them a whole heck of a lot. To me, they're really pretty. They're kind of like an old memory. If you're drawn to them, use them. I have a free playlist out on instructionals. I have one for Bubbling 101. That's how to personally energy clear yourself and then bubble yourself so you're not soaking up everyone else's stuff and energy. That really is healthy. Another thing you can do, if that doesn't appeal to you and you just want to start somewhere slow, the plate of salt under your bed. And then when you take a shower, whether it's a salt scrub or you put some salt on the shower floor and walk on it, and as you're in the shower, visualize through that water a white light coming and just clearing your physical body and energetic body.
Okay. Now, I've told you this, and a lot of everything you've told me has really helped me. I should say nothing you have told me hasn't helped me. Taking the vitamins B and D to help with trying to meditate better or, calm my mind, basically. And that's something I've struggled with for quite a while, even when I first started doing this type of work, is getting down deep enough to be actually in a meditative state. It's only, I think it's been very rare. I'd say maybe 5 times I've gotten down deep enough where I've seen and heard my spirit guide or one of my spirit guides, talked to loved ones, just seen things that necessarily haven't happened yet. So when I tell you I appreciate everything you tell me, I'm 100% telling you the God honest truth, because too many people have not come out talking about this stuff. I mean, plenty have, But just like we're talking about with religion, everybody has a different perspective or understanding of things. So it's all kind of a jumble.
It is. And, this is part of the reason why I decided to, pop out the broom closet the way that I did into the internet, is because I wanted to be a safe space where I'm not selling anything. I'm very, very open that I try to put out as much content as I can for free. There's nothing behind a paywall. Even interviews that I've done, there's not one behind a paywall. And on top of that, I try to do every show that I go on, I try to give something different than I've said on every other show. Because there are a lot of my friends who are wonderful, wonderful people who will support me in anything that I'm on. And I don't want them to have to listen to the same thing 84 times. That being said, I don't have, there's no hook with me, right? I'm not selling a book. I'm not selling a course. I have classes occasionally, but I'm not pushing those. If you come, you come. If you don't, you don't. I really don't care. I don't ask anyone to like or subscribe. I just want to be a resource for people, because I understand there are a lot of other people who are trying to talk about what I am, but it's behind a paywall, or you've got to go to a class, or you have to do a personal reading, or this and that. And let's just talk about this. Let's just work with our bodies and our minds and our spirits and just grow a little bit and do some good in the world. And I'm not knocking the hustle. I understand people have to make money, do you? But that's not me. And I'm okay, because I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in where I have some free time that I can dedicate to this. So, to anyone who's listening, if you have questions about this, feel free. You can go on my YouTube channel. You can join my Discord. You can email me directly and ask questions. When it comes to vitamins and things like that, educate yourself. There are wonderful herbalists out there. There are wonderful people who do free content as well on the internet, who are doctors, who are like, hey, everyone needs to focus on doing this, that, or the other. I unfortunately found out most of the stuff the hard way because it happened to me. And so now I can testify and say, hey, when you're low in vitamin D, did you know that it can cause depression? And it can also cause this weird, sleep and anxiety. It's this very weird effect that happens when you're not getting enough vitamin D in your body, whether it's through direct sunlight or taking the pill. Vitamin B helps your entire nervous system regulate. Lord knows we all need good nervous systems right now. If you've lived through 2025, I don't know about you, but I have to meditate a lot to keep my nerves from just arcing into the breeze.
No, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I started thinking about, and this is the end of November right now, just everything that's happened in the year of 2025. If we were to do a year in recap, and even if I did 2-second clips of everything, the video is already 20 minutes long. It's insane how much stuff has happened this year. So it really is a quickening.
Well, and I've seen so many people do videos about this, about if aliens are watching the Earth channel and are watching everything, they're like, this even of Earth is just crazy. What is going on? Yeah, 20. I would say since 2020, the years have gotten just weirder and weirder.
I would say since 2011, they started getting strange, but it was a slow strange, right? It was this slow build up where occasionally there'd be this big thing that happened and we all be like, whoa, and then wait, what? And then, everything would level out, and then another one. So it was this light wave, and now we're just in full-on choppy seas with a gale warning, and one pelican with one wing just trying to make it
around
through.
in a circle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I was a newscaster right now, I don't know. I think I'd be just getting B12 IVs every day. Yeah. But that's part of it too, is instinctually, some people know the jig is up, and instinctually, spiritually, something is moving within all of us because we're getting ready to move into this different state. And as a result, that's why everything seems so erratic and weird. And it's because there is this quickening in order to get us where we need to go. I mean, let's face it, the average person does not grow, heal, or move unless it's uncomfortable or it's ugly and they have to. And that's sad, but that's just the way that people are. So if we have to make the world so uncomfortable, then here we are, 2025, everybody.
Yeah.
Take a bow.
Well, that's something that Shelly and I, my wife and I, have been working on just as individuals, is being ourselves and being our true selves. And I don't know what that looks like for myself. So when I'm stuck in a rut and just sitting, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, or what who I am to be the individual to go do things. I feel as we get closer to 2026, I'm starting to understand a little bit more.
Good. Good. And sometimes it's those quiet moments when you don't know what you're supposed to be doing that are the best, because they really start to show you even more what needs to happen for you to move, or if you need more rest, or do you need a little more downtime, or what even interests you. Have you thought about that in a while? Because a lot of people don't. Everyone's on go mode and they forget to ask themselves, what brings me joy?
And that in and of itself is what I'm working on, is what brings me joy. I've talked about this with Shelly, and she's said to me, okay, well, you're a writer, you're a podcaster, but what else? And I straight up said, I have no idea.
You're part of the cutest couple in the world. So, I mean, you got that going for you. So do cute couple stuff.
And yeah, we're definitely going to be working on doing more stuff together. We've kind of been in a lull as of late, so we definitely need to work on that too. Since we are getting close to the end, I wanted to ask this one final question. If you could give anybody one piece of advice who is either shifting into mediumship, or as this veil drops and to understand what's going on, what piece of advice could you give everybody?
Ask for your gifts to unravel and unfurl at the kindest and best speed for you. Do not rush the process. Pay attention and go with the flow, and use what comes up, like any new gifts that present themselves. Use them a little, get used to them, because another one is ready and waiting to drop right behind it. It just needs for you to be firm and cement in the one that just dropped for it to move in as well. And the reason why I say do it in the kindest and gentlest way possible is because it can be really, really, really overwhelming. And, I don't want anyone having to go through some of the things that I've seen other people have to go through, where they didn't ask that and they just wanted it all at once, because no one has any patience anymore. And it can get real gnarly. So just understand that your spirit team and divine timing is there. And sometimes it feels like a trickle, but that's to get you used to it so that you can handle the deluge when the deluge comes.
Yeah, I remember you were on Paranormal Insight, and you told a story about a gentleman who asked for all of them all at once, and he almost ended up in a psychiatric ward because he couldn't take it.
Yep. Yeah. And that was like within 2 days. Within 3 days, he was like begging to be off the planet because he couldn't take it. And I feel like spirit did that deliberately in order to say, like, you kept pushing the ticket. We were trying to tell you, you didn't listen. You had so much ego involved and so much I want it my way, instead of asking spirit, hey, why is it slow? I've even had slow periods in my life where not a lot is happening and I'm not really used to that. So I'll go, hey, hold on, what's going on? And then I'll hear, you need a rest. Oh, well, that's really nice. Thanks so much, guys. And then they're like, yeah, but you need a rest because, like, just wait until what happens next. And I'm like, okay, I could have done without that. But, like, yeah, you're right. All right, I'm going to take a nap for a month.
Sometimes I feel like I need to. That's for sure.
Yes. Honey, yes. So we all need naps. And honestly, yes, just take naps, take good care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, all the ways, energetically. Do the little things. The little things really do help and they add up. Your body will thank you. Your mind will appreciate you. And spiritually, it's going to be such an easier process. And I promise it gets better. We're not given anything we're not able to handle. There are going to be times that are going to be rough and gnarly, but that's why having an awesome community, like everyone who's here in the chat tonight, is so incredibly important. Whether it's my Discord, whether you find another one, or some other, group online that you can join. I know ParaTruth, you guys have a great Facebook group going, and you ask lots of questions, and you're building community just to be able to have someone else that, whether you know them super well but you're comfortable, that you can ask, hey, this happened to me, and not have them look at you like you have 84 heads, is so nice.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel that way when I'm telling people things, and maybe it's just they don't know how to respond because they don't really understand it. But so it's super appreciative that we have those outlets. Want to give you a chance to tell everybody where they can find you, connect with you. The mic's all yours.
Oh, bless you. I just want to mention, I've said the number 84 3 times on this show. I don't know what that means, but I just caught it coming out of my mouth again for the 3rd time. And I'm like, oh, there's something there. So we're all going to watch for the number 84 and see what that means. I'm very simple. I'm JJRose777 across the board. Linktree has every single way to contact me known to man. It has every single podcast episode I've ever been on. Feel free, please support the wonderful podcasters who give me a platform in order to yammer at you. And if you have questions, my email's on there. You have all my socials, as well as access to my YouTube channel. As I said, I have playlists. I'm not monetized. I apologize for the commercials. Nothing I can do about it. But you know what? It's free information. And sometimes the commercials are a great way to just kind of pause and reflect on the information.
Awesome. Old JJRose, thank you for being on ParaTruth Reborn.
Thank you.
All right, folks. This has been a live show on 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and United Public Radio Network. Check out all the great shows we've got on this network. We've got so many of them: Paranormal Heart, Paranormal Insight, so many more. But until next week, where you will find us same time, same channel. My name is Justin. Talk to you guys later.